In this lesson, we're going to be looking at some laws that specifically relate to the index numbers. Let's start by making sure we remember what an index number is. In this expression here, m is called the base and 4 is called the index number. And that is the same as m times m times m times m, just the base multiplied by itself, the index number times. Now we're also going to need to remember that in a fraction, letters in the numerator and the denominator can be cancelled out. And so I've got my fraction here. I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to put all the times signs in just so we can see this clearly. And see how we've got an m on the top and on the bottom here? They can just both go. One cancels out the other one. And same with the p here. There's a p there and there's a p there. Doesn't matter, they're not right on top of each other. As long as everything's being times, we can cancel it out. We should note, by the way, this doesn't work when there's any additions or subtractions in the fraction, but there won't be in this lesson, so that's fine. And so now I can rewrite all that as my answer. I've got 4 and I've got t on the top, and I've got 5 and I've got k on the bottom. We will also be referring to coefficients in this lesson, so we'll need to remember that the coefficient is just the number that is in front of the letter, and it doesn't matter if the letter's got an index number on it, we still call this a coefficient out the front here. So let's start having a look at these laws, and we'll start off with this expression here, and I'm going to rewrite this expression and I'm going to put in all the multiplication signs. And I don't just mean between the 3 and the m or the 4 and the m, I mean I'm going to write out 3 m's and put multiplication signs between them all. This is what's called writing out in expanded form. And so there's 3 and 3 m's, there's that part there. And here's 4 and 5 m's, which is that part there. And now I'm going to push it all back together again. And as I do it, I'm going to remember it doesn't matter what order I multiply things in, so I can do this 3 and this 4 first. So that's 12. So I know I'm going to have 12, and I've dealt with the numbers. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 m's all being multiplied together. So that means I can say that's m to the power of 8. Now notice what's happened here. The coefficients here, the numbers in front, they've just been multiplied normally to get 12. And the index numbers up here, they've been added because there was 3 m's here added to another 5 m's there. And the base itself hasn't changed. So when the bases are multiplied, so when I multiply like this, the index numbers, the ones up the top, are added. The coefficients, the ones off to the side, they get multiplied. Let's have a look at dividing now. So I'm going to write it as a fraction, as we know you can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this out all multiplied as well. So that would look like this. On top, there's my 10 times 6 m's. And then there's my 8 times 2 m's. And I'm going to do some simplifying here. I'm going to start with the numbers, 10 and 8. So 10 and 8, what goes into 10 and 8? That is 2. So divide 10 by 2, you get 5. Divide 8 by 2, you get 4. And then I can see, well, I've got a lot of m's on top and I've got some m's on the bottom, so I can do some cancelling out. Now, it doesn't matter which m's I pick on top to cancel the m's on the bottom. The point is that 2 of the m's on top, no matter which 2, are going to cancel out both m's on the bottom. And either way, I will be left with 4 m's on the top. And so now let's write that down again a bit clearer. And so I'll have 5 with m to the power of 4, because there was the 5 on top and these 4 m's left over. And just on the bottom, I'll have 4. Now notice what's happened here. The 4, notice that is just 6 take away 2. That's because I started with 6 m's on top, but 2 of them got cancelled out because of these 2 on the bottom. So 6 take away 2 got me that 4. These coefficients, they were just simplified as I always simplify fractions. And so when the bases are divided like this, when they're a fraction, the index numbers are subtracted and the coefficients are just simplified like a normal fraction. Now let's keep looking at how this can be applied, and this time we're going to use 2 separate letters here. So once again, I'm going to write it out in expanded form. I'm going to go m times k times k times k. That's that first one there. And then there's 4 m's and then 2 k's for this second one here. And once again, I'm going to crunch it all back together. Now notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 m's, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 K's. The main thing to notice about this is see how the bases got kept separate. I still went 2 plus 4 for the M's, that's how I got 6, and I still went 3 plus 2 for the K's, which is how I got 5. And so different bases with different letters, they need to be kept separate. We don't say it's like MK to 11 or anything like that. It's kind of like terms, but it works a bit of a different way. So there's the M's all got put together and the K's all got put together, but the M's and the K's didn't get put together, they got kept separate. Now with this next one, it looks a bit different because there's no letters, but it all still works the same as long as we remember that 2 is a base here, not a coefficient. And so I'm going to start by writing it out in my expanded form. That's 2 times 2 times 2, that's that bit. 2 times, and there's 4 of them there, so that's that bit there. And then I'm going to crunch it all back up and go all together, there's 7 2's. And so bases can be numbers, and it's very important to remember the base doesn't change. Some people look at this and go, well, that's going to be 4 to the power of 7. But it's not. We just saw then, it's just 2 to the power of 7 because there's 7 2's in total. There's not 7 4's, there's 7 2's. Let's have a look at the examples here, and we'll see we really don't need to show a huge amount of working here. In fact, pretty much none at all. We're going to do 4 to the 7 times 4 to the 3. So let's write down the question to start with, and then we're going to go straight to the answer, which means I can put it right next to it here. And remember, I just add the two index numbers together. I don't multiply 4 by 4 because 4 is the base, and bases don't change. And so I'm just going to go 7 plus 3 is 10, and that means I get 4 to the 10. Remember, I'm doing plus because when you're multiplying, when bases are multiplied, the index number is added. There's no coefficients in this case here. There's only bases and index numbers. So just write down my question equals the answer. And the next one we're going to see works pretty much the same way, except it's got coefficients and a couple of different letters. So let's start by writing down the expression. And with the 3 and the 6, they are coefficients. They're off to the side out the front, and so they get multiplied normally. So it's not going to be 9, it's going to be 18 is the number I'm going to be using. And then with all the letters here, x is to the 4 there, and it's to the 2 there. So 4 plus 2 is 6, so I'm going to have x to the 6. And this y here, that's to the power of 1. If there's nothing written above a letter, there's always a 1 there. And so 1 plus 3 is 4. So my final answer, put all together, is going to be 18, x to the 6, y to the 4. And now in the next one, we are simplifying, and this one's a division. And so let's start by writing it out. It's always the first step. Now I can simplify the 12 and the 4 to start with, because 4 goes into 4 and it also goes into 12. You won't always be able to simplify the numbers, but in this case we can. So 4 goes into 12 3 times, and it goes into 4 once. Now with the m's, there's 5 m's on top, 2 on the bottom. 5 take away 2 is 3. So my answer is going to have 3 m's in it. And 4 take away 3 for the n's is only 1, and so our answer is going to look like this. We've got the 3 from on top there, and then m to the power of 3, because that was 5 take away 2, and then this n, it's to the power of 1, but you don't write the 1 there, you just leave it. And so that was the 4 take away 3. Notice I also didn't bother writing this 1 on the bottom here. We don't write, if there's just 1 on the bottom of a fraction and nothing else, then we don't bother writing it down. And so there's my final answer. Let's give some practice questions a go now. Remember to pause the video. And there's the solutions with mostly just the question equals the answer, a little bit of cancelling down just there shown. So in the first one here, I wrote out the question, and then this is just a division, which means I minus the index numbers. Remember, the 3's are bases there, so I don't go 3 divided by 3 is 1. I just go 8 minus 5 is 3, and that base, that stays the same. Now in the second one here, again, I wrote it all out, and I started with my numbers. 2 times 5 is 10. That's why there's a 10 out the front. Then I did the m's. There's 6 there, and another 2 there, so that's why I have 8 in my answer. And with the n's, there was 4 plus another 7 gives me 11 in my answer there. Now in this, in the last one here, I wrote out the question and then I did my simplifying. So I started with the 10's, the 10 and the 12, and I noticed that 2 goes into 10 and also into 12, and so goes into 10 5 times, goes into 12 6 times, and then I did my minusing. 2 take away 1, remember there is a 1 there, we just don't write it down, so 2 take away 1 is 1. 6 take away 5 is 1, and that's why in my answer here, there's no numbers up the top, because there was only one p left and one t. Here's some more practice questions. If you need another go, remember to pause the video. And there's the solutions to those ones. And that's the end of the lesson.